What's up, everyone? Thrift Barringer here alongside my partner in crime, Richard Holdridge. We are on our new Georgia Alabama Sports Live Facebook page. Unfortunately, while we were live streaming the Calvary versus Flint River football game, our page was disabled and deleted from Facebook. We did not get the reason why. They're very vague in that. We're trying to appeal to see if we can't at least get access to that with all the content we had on there. But things like this happen all the time, and we're going to continue to moving forward. We're going to upload all our content from here, and we're going to try some new things to see if we can't make sure that this never happens again. But we had a great time in Woodbury, had a lot of fun covering Flint River taking on Calvary. But again, our old Facebook page was deleted. We are using our new one now. So please, as if you're tuning in and you start watching this, that you start sharing, liking our page as we try to build that back up. Richard?
I'm happy to be here, Thrift. And also, you forgot to mention that we are also on Twitter. We actually started our Twitter page today. So go and like the Twitter page. This is actually being live streamed on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and on Twitter.
Yep. And we're excited for we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be getting into, and that includes Flint River taking on Calvary. But again, we are on our new Facebook page. We're going to go through the process of rebuilding this back up as we always do. All our content still on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed on YouTube, everything's good there. We got all our games that we have done. A lot of our shows are on there, and we're going to have that, make sure that that is always uploaded on YouTube, just in case, like I said, Facebook does some nonsense. We got Zuckerberg. We got Zucked. That's what Rick Beach said. We got zucked, and no doubt about it, we definitely did. But we're going to continue to grind and do what we do. And Richard, I'm going to let you take the floor because of everything that happened Friday. You called that first quarter really good. It was a dominating performance from Flint River and Woodbury. Talk about the Wildcats taking on Calvary Christian.
Absolutely, Thrift. Flint River out of Woodbury, Georgia. They are a GIAA team in Division One, and they have won multiple state championships. And they look like a championship team. They were absolutely dominant. Calvary did have a good drive, but they got a field goal attempt that was blocked. Luke Zivak, the quarterback for Calvary, he likes to throw the football, but there was no receivers open. It was hard to get separation because Flint River's defense not only controlled the line of scrimmage, but their secondary was disciplined. They were in man coverage. They played a little bit of zone, and they were dominant, and they were able to get the 42-0 win over Calvary.
And talk about the quarterback, Luke, and Mr. Scoggins, and what you thought Calvary did. In the second half, they still competed.
They did. They shut Flint River out in that second half, which was a win for them. They were able to make adjustments, and even though Flint River was playing a little bit more conservatively, they were just running the football, just trying to run the clock out. Calvary held their own, and they were able to make stops. But whenever they got the ball back, it was very hard to get something going on offense because not only was Flint River able to stop the run, but they were able to put pressure on Luke Zivak, and he just could not get any throws off. And Luke Scoggins had a couple of looks, and it was hard for him to get open. And Calvary did have the one player that actually did get number 22, I believe. That would be DeAndre Hurd, which had an amazing catch. He had a couple of catches that were incredible. And I think that Calvary's going to bounce back. They're taking on Linear Christian Academy this week at Calvary Christian. You got to remember, Calvary plays in the gaps. And so those are the teams that they are competing for a state championship. And they've already knocked off the defending state championship. So losing to a GIAA school that's poised to win a state title, I mean, you take it and you move on.
Yep, and you know, Flint River, they won a championship in 2016 and 2018. Thank you again to Joe Howard. Joe was I'm going to call him a friend, even though we just met this week. But he was so gracious to come on our high school game day. He was very hospitable. He did everything we asked him to do. He also helped us out and make sure that we were set up in the right spot. And thank you again, everyone at Flint River, for that. And honestly, I liked the internet was really good there. Everything went well except for our Facebook page being deleted in the middle of the live stream. But that that was neither Flint River nor Calvary. But like you talked about, Flint River just dominant. They ran the ball however they wanted to. They had a two quarterback system in Lucas Martin, and I can't think of the other quarterback's name that's off the top of my head. Number 18. He also played defensive end for Flint River as well. Richard, he was really good. Their running backs, their running back by committee, Coach Hoffman's team, they're going to be playing for, I think, another state championship this year in the GIAA classification 1A. But like you talked about with Calvary, they played a juggernaut. Um, and their first loss of the season last week against Kings Ridge, we found out from Coach Steve Smith that Luke Zavak did not play. And when you didn't have your starting quarterback, they probably should be 3-1 and were undefeated heading into that Flint River game. Struggled, obviously, things they can correct, but I still believe in Coach Brunson and this Calvert team. They still have a lot to play for in gaps, and they're 2-2, and we're hoping that this week they get back on the right track as they play at home. Any final thoughts, Richard?
I absolutely believe in Coach Brunson and what he is doing at Calvary. Calvary is going to be fine. Yeah, you're right, Thrift. They are 2-2, but as they get into their gap schedule, I believe that Calvary Christian is just going to continue to improve and be a better football team because they have a great coach that is able to develop players. And he's not only their head football coach, but he's also their strength and conditioning coach. So you know that they are going to take the preparations to get prepared for a game. And I can't wait. Friday, it is going to be great on the campus of Calvary, and they should have the Calvary fans who, by the way, Thrift, the Calvary fans did a great job traveling to Woodbury, Georgia. It was a packed house. I mean, this was a great environment as the whole town of Woodbury
Right.
came to the football stadium. And it was nice to experience that small town atmosphere at a football game. And by the way, if you want to catch the entire broadcast, not only is it on YouTube, but it's also uploaded to our new Facebook page, Georgia Alabama Sports Live. So check it out.
Yeah, it's right here on this page that we're live on right now. Again, we need all the likes that we can get and support as we continue to do what we're doing around the Chattahoochee Valley area. Excited, to say the least, about this upcoming week. We got two great games. We're calling one on Thursday and Friday. We're going to keep grinding. But again, please go and like us on Facebook. But without further ado, let's go ahead and head into some of our games that we're going to talk about. We talked about Flint River and Calvary. Let's go into Northside and Shaw. Northside won 33-7. They probably could have won even worse. Shaw playing with their backup quarterback and coach Johnny Gardner. They've hit a little bump in the road. They're 1-3 this year. Losing Nicholas Bates against Harris County in that first half hurt them a lot. I mean, heck, they were in the game, Richard. I think they're right back into being a competitive team. Obviously, Northside just too much for them, and they manhandled them. Caden Clay looked like Quinn Ewers. That's what I'm gonna start calling him. He's the Quinn Ewers of the Tri-City area. He was fantastic, and this Northside team, along with Harris County, both 3-1. McIntosh 3-1, and Northgate 3-1. Those are all in the same region of 5A. That region, man, it's definitely going to come down the wire. And we got a big one October 6th. Harris County and Northside will be calling. But giving your thoughts on that, we actually called this game. You can see the entire game on our YouTube channel. Make sure to go again, subscribe, and you can see how that game played out.
Big rivalry game, the Battle of North Columbus. Yes, Northside could have scored a lot more. Just the running back combination of Kingston Rivers and Jay Jackson, but it was Caden Clay, which has his 9th touchdown of the year. I mean, he's battling for best quarterback with Dallas Crow and Andrew Alford in the Chattahoochee Valley. You know, you could throw in Teo Todd and Gary Gaither. It's just some incredible quarterback play in the Chattahoochee Valley. But I was impressed with Sidney Atkins, the free safety for Shaw, who interchanneled his Jesse Bates with 2 forced fumbles and really making a turnover. And we'll get later into the show this week. We're talking about Jesse Bates pretty much winning the game for the Falcons today.
Yeah, he did, and he was pretty dominant for a Falcons team that offensively, come on, man, they looked atrocious. They obviously got They got to get better, and they hope and offensively, we're hoping that Ritter will be opening up the playbook, and we'll see him continue to grind. But until then, let's go back to this Northside game as you talked about. They're going to continue to do what they do best, which is get the ball out to their playmakers. I like Kingston Rivers and the running back tandem with him and Jay Jackson to offset all a lot of the yardage they lost in productivity with Malachi Holsley last year. They did a really good
Absolutely.
job. But in that first half, Northside had a bunch of penalties, a couple silly turnovers. Heck, even Kingston Rivers' kickoff return for a touchdown to start the game was negated because of a penalty. They don't turn the ball over and have turnover and down several times deep in Shaw territory. This probably would have been even a 50-7 or 60-7 game. So Northside continue to do what they're doing.
Absolutely. They're now 3-1. They will take on Sumter County in Americus, Georgia next week. And Northside, like you mentioned, they get ready to take on some big time opponents in their region, to include their longtime rival Harris County. And I don't think that Northside has lost a lot losing Malachi Hosley. They just reload with talented players, and Coach Orpeza has got them playing well and firing on all cylinders.
From Northside and Shaw, let's head to Pacelli as they take on Mount DeSales Academy. Mount DeSales, as we talked with Steve Smith, the athletic director for Calvary, he knows about that program. They're a good program in all their sports. But Pacelli, ever since getting shellacked by Glenwood in that opening week, they have been dominant. And they win another blowout game against Mount DeSales 48-7. Pacelli, anyone that thought that they were an afterthought, you don't know Coach Jones. You don't know this Viking program. They got a big one coming up this Friday on Viking
Oh,
TV.
they
They
do.
taking on Stratford, last year's state championship game. And we also got Glenwood taking on Lee Scott, last year's state championship game in Alabama, Georgia, Pacelli versus Stratford. So big games going on in the Tri-City area. But Pacelli, they were dominant. And as they continue on their tears, they go to 3-1 on the season. Richard.
Pacelli is looking great. And, it doesn't really matter if they play at Diamond Field or if they play on the road, taking on another GIAA school. And, that game when they lost to Glenwood is really, they were playing a great Glenwood team. I really think that they will just continue to develop Brown as a quarterback, AZ Justy, wide receiver slash cornerback combo. I mean, he's been playing good for Pacelli. And you got to give it up to Dwight Jones, who really has been a developer of players. He's been an awesome head coach. And, they are the defending GIAA champions, and they haven't really lost a lot. They have some good players. They just still have a young team, but they're competing and they are winning these games that they are expected to win in the GIAA. And I expect them to come out and have a great game against Stratford Academy. I mean, that's going to be a massive game at Diamond Field. A rematch of the GIAA championship. It was a low scoring game, 10-0. Pacelli ended up winning that game, but I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either, and we'll be keeping up with that as we will be at a different place. We'll say where we're going to be at a little bit later on here in the show. Let's move on from Pacelli versus Glenwood, or excuse me, not Pacelli versus Glenwood, Pacelli versus Mount Day Cells, and let's head out over and talk about Harris County as they have won again at home against an undefeated Howard team. Harris County improves to 3-1. Howard goes to 2-1, but as I talked with Rick Beach, they're not a juggernaut offensively where they can score 40 points a game. They're not a high up tempo offense. They're grinded out. Give it to the big man, Mr. Matei Yeoman. And they had another great game against Howard. They were in control of that game the entire way. And I expect them to do this the rest of the year. I think 7-3, 8-2 is very feasible. And we may be doing a Harris County playoff game in the not too distant future if they keep playing the way they're playing, Richard.
Matei Yeoman, he is averaging 7.8 yards a carry. He's already got 250 yards, and he is just the big fullback type. He used to be a linebacker. He does play linebacker, actually. And so they give him the rock, but he's not the only running back they have. They have Quintavious Walker. They have Miguel Sevilla. Levi Watson likes to run the football. In fact, he's second on the team in rushing. And I wasn't too sure about this Howard team. I didn't know what type of team they were. I just knew that they were undefeated. They're a 4A school out of Macon. And we knew that Harris County only won 2 games last year. Well, they get the win. It was close. It was a one-score game. Howard was able to cut it 27-19. But Harris County is 3-1. They have eclipsed their win total from last year. And if you look at the schedule, they play Hardaway next. And then in 2 weeks, a huge test. I know I was talking to Rick Beach. We're excited about this game. Harris County is playing Sandy Creek, the defending 3A champions.
That's going to be a big one, Richard, and we're looking forward to seeing how that one plays out. From Harris County taking on Howard, Noonan played Hardaway, and Hardaway's a team that obviously they're struggling offensively. They have not scored a lot of points. They're 0-4. But I thought they kept Noonan close on the road. It was only 14-0 for majority of the game. Noonan scored a last-minute touchdown. I like what Coach McKenzie's team's doing. They're getting better each and every week, and keeping this close against Hardaway is a win in my mind for the Hardaway Hawks.
First-year head coach Ryan McKenzie, it is going to be tough sledding for the Hardaway Hawks, which, by the way, have the toughest schedule in the history of the GHSA. Look who they've had to play. They've had to play Carver, Troup County, Harris County soon, and they also had to play Noonan and Northside. And by the way, they also got to play Peach County. I mean, that is a murderous row of a non-region schedule before they get into region play, which I think that they can compete in region play with the likes of Westover and Shaw, Bainbridge, Cairo. It's going to be interesting to see, really, remember, 5 teams in this region, only 4 make the playoffs. So their goals to make the playoffs are still at hand. And this freshman quarterback, Bobby Gary, is just going to continue to develop. I feel that Hardaway could get back to the level we talked about in the early 2010s with Coach Jeff Battles, and they were competing with Carver in their region. And Coach McKenzie is the right coach to do it. And remember, they are a couple years removed from Michael Williams playing for the Hardaway Hawks, and now he's wreaking havoc in Georgia, and he's going to be in the NFL one day.
Yeah, he is, and like what we're seeing with Michael playing at Georgia, he's gonna probably have a dominant game against South Carolina this week. But from Hardaway and Noonan, let's move on to, I would say, the biggest blunder in Richard's broadcasting career. High school game day, we're picking games, and Richard decided, I'm going to go against the grain. I saw Enterprise go and beat number 2 Auburn on the road 17-16 last week. They play at home this week. They're going to beat Central. And me and Steve said, listen, if you get a lot of backlash, it ain't Georgia Alabama Sports Live that said this. It was Richard. And not only did Central win, they dominated. Andrew Alford is looking like every bit the quarterback we thought he could be as a sophomore, now as a junior. The kid's elite. He's going to be all-state, no doubt in my mind. And I like this Central team a lot. I think they're going to maybe win it all this year. The way they're playing, they're hitting on all cylinders. And to go in and beat the number 3 Enterprise team 48-7 like they did, they sent a statement to everyone, including Thompson, that 7A is definitely going to try to be theirs for the taking. Even though Thompson's won 4 straight, I like Central a lot this year, man.
Andrew Alford, the transfer from Brookstone, he's having an incredible season, 13 touchdowns, but, he's got some help, Thrift. He's got 3 weapons who average over 90 yards a game. Cam Coleman, the number 1 recruit in the entire state of Alabama, he's committed to Texas A&M. Dylan Gentry, averaging 93 yards a game. Dalen Upshaw, he's averaging 90 yards a game. They don't really have to run the football, but you got Zach Simmons and Zion James and Tristan Williams just in case they try to stop the pass. But I don't think any team is going to try to stop the pass. That was a statement win. I'm eating my words. I put too much faith in Enterprise because they know
why you did it.
I don't know. I just wanted to be, out there and give a hot sports take because that's my personality when I have my show. And I have not gotten any kind words or any words for that matter from the Central faithful. And I apologize. I want to say to Coach Patrick Nix, the Red Devil Nation, I am with you. I am not going against Central for the remainder of this season. I believe Central is the real deal. And I think they are going to dethrone Thompson for the state championship.
Please go and like our Facebook page. This is the new one that we are on right now. We're having to upload things, and I know it's going to take some time for people to see all our content as we continue to grow it the way we had it. But there's nothing we can do about what happened. We just keep grinding. From moving on from that game, now let's see who else do we have that we want to talk about, Richard. Any other games that? Oh, I guess we can throw this one up there. You know, a lot of hype came out of Russell County this year, and I love Coach Dylan Griggs. We're going to be calling a Russell County Valley game September the 29th. Can't wait to go up there. And Russell County's always been a gracious host to us. But this was a debilitating loss, Richard. At home, they were supposed to win, and to lose by 3 points the way they did, tough loss. Especially Russell County. Now they're 0-2 now. In both games, they lost by 3 points. One was a game-winning kick in Harris County, and this week against San Hope Elmore.
Absolutely heartbreaking loss. They had a chance to tie it with a field goal, but they were right at the goal line for Stanhope Elmore. Robert Calhoun had an opportunity to get the go-ahead touchdown. Stanhope Elmore was winning most of this game, and Russell County came all the way back. I still am a believer in what Coach Dylan Griggs is doing at Russell County. 2 demoralizing losses, and they are 0-2. And yes, unfortunately, this was a region game, and their schedule gets tougher. Carver, Montgomery. This is a 6A team that competes for a state title. They have to play them next week at home. They have to go to Wetumpka. Wetumpka beat them 49-7 last year at the county. They play Valley. We're going to be there. Pike Road. I mean, Central of Clay County, they're always a playoff team in 5A. I don't know how they're going to be able to make the playoffs this year because of the gauntlet of a region they have. Russell County plays in a tough region. I'm not going to lie. It is absolutely tough. But this is the type of loss that they learn from it. They move on. They make adjustments. I'm still a believer in Robert Calhoun as a quarterback. He's got some great weapons. Kelston Popcorn Tarver, the running back. You have Denver Harper, who's a great kick returner. I mean, we saw Russell County almost beat Harris County. And Harris County,
did.
we know how good Harris County is. I believe they're going to learn from this. And, the last time Carver Montgomery came to Seal, Alabama, I was there for that game. And, they actually played them close. And by the way, Thrift, a fun fact, the game against Stanhope Elmore was the first Russell County home game that I have missed in 2 years.
Wow. Well, we know how much that program means to you, and I know you're excited to be going out there the 29th.
Yes.
The last game I do want to touch on is Northeast taking on Carver. Carver Tigers, undefeated. Obviously, this is the first time they played since that Spencer game. And we remember what happened when we were there live covering it. They lost to this team last year as they went 8-3 on the season, or 9-3, maybe 10-3, one of those records. But this is one of their losses. And to lose like this at home, Otis Spencer Stadium, had the ball deep in their territory to tie the game on the last drive of the game and just couldn't capitalize. Really painful loss for Coach Pierre Coffey. Carver get back on the right track. This is not a terrible loss to Northeast, making Northeast a really good team. But Carver, there was a lot of hype surrounding this program, and they took a little bit of a step back. But I expect Coach Coffey and that coaching staff to get them back on the winning track here in the next coming games.
I thought Carver had a lot of resiliency. They were down 19-6. They came all the way back and cut the Northeast lead to 19-8. But Northeast with that demoralizing touchdown to put the game away. Yes, it is a one loss for Carver. It's the same team they lost to last year. Northeast is one of the top schools in 2A. I mean, they're right up there. The latest GPB rankings has got them number 5 behind Callaway, number 4. Okay. So they are one of the favorites to win the region. I know
Right.
Spencer won the region last year. Northeast is in Spencer's region. Northeast is going to compete for a 2A championship. This is how good they are. Carver is still really good. And when they get into region play, they got teams like Doherty, Monroe, Columbus, Crisp County, Thomasville. They should still be the favorite, not only to win the region, but to make a deep run in the playoffs. Kind of got a test coming up. They're taking on a 7A team, Brookwood. I think Brookwood is like 1-2, but still a 7A team. You
Being able
get
to do
to,
it's
you get
tough.
to, yeah, you get to test and see how good you really are when you're going up against a 7A team. It's not necessarily a 7A team like Mill Creek or Buford, but it's still a 7A team.
We'll see how and you're right. We'll see how they finish out their season. But I like Coach Coffee. I like what I see from them. I like what the Tigers have done so far to this season. A painful loss, but I expect them, like I said in previously, this program is not a program that has back-to-back losses or continues down that downward spiral. This is going to be tough, but they'll get back in the film room. They'll see what their mistakes were, and they'll get better for next week. Speaking of next week, we are going to be at a new place. If you want to put up that graphic, Richard, Glenwood. Oh, well, two places. So sorry, I forgot. Okay. Was going to mention the Friday one first, but we're going to be on Thursday at Spencer Stadium. Kendrick taking on Spencer. Both are 1-2. Spencer lost 2 weeks ago to Westover in heartbreaking fashion after losing to Carver. This will be their first game since then. They're going to try to get back to their winning ways against Kendrick. And Kendrick trying to make a statement, upsetting Spencer. It's a rivalry game. Obviously, it's been dominated by Spencer over the last several years, but Kendrick did beat a Heritage last time they played, and they had a bye. We'll see. We're excited about calling our first Kendrick game, our second Spencer game. That's going to be on Thursday at 7 p.m. And then on Friday, we have high school football showcase and game day live. Number one, Glenwood taking on the defending state champions in the AISA. Number two, Lee Scott. This is a rivalry like Alabama and Auburn. The teams hate each other. They have done, trust me, from a guy that's played in this game, that has played in the basketball game, this rivalry is toxic. It's vile. There's a lot of hatred for both schools. I expect nothing less but a shootout, and I am excited, to say the least, to call my first Glenwood Lee Scott game. And it couldn't be a better one. And we're going to be having high school game day live at the Swamp. Coach Purdue is going to be one of our guest pickers. We'll see if we can't give Mixer Rex Castillo. I was talking with him. He may be one of our celebrity guest pickers. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go all out for this. We may even have a sideline reporter during the game. I mean, this is going to be one of our favorite matchups of the season so far. So excited. Lee Scott and Glenwood taking on each other on Friday. Give me your thoughts on those games, Richard.
Thrift, I cannot wait for this game. You got Lee Scott Academy that beat Morgan Academy 51-0. They have just been dominant this year. Glenwood coming off of their win over Bessemer Academy on the road, 51-6. You got two powerhouses, head coach Buster Daniel for the Lee Scott Academy Warriors. You got head coach Ryan Nelson for the Glenwood Gators. You know, they love their Lee Scott Athletics over there in Auburn, a private school in Auburn. You got the Lee Scott Sports Network. Big shout out to Jacob Goings, who is the play-by-play announcer. I'm not sure if they're going to make the trip down to call this game, but, you know, we want to give them some love, too, because they are part of the Chattahoochee Valley. But this is going to be at the Swamp, Sammy Howard Field.
Yep.
We expect it to be packed out with the Gator Walk, cheerleaders, the band, everybody who is a Glenwood faithful, alumni, students. And I tell you what, Thrift, I'm excited about the coaches show tomorrow because it's really going to get hyped up then.
Yeah. Show out. Um, Come out and show out. Definitely. We're excited about both those games. And it's going to be a lot of fun, Richard. I think that we got a great slate for us. Tuesday, we'll do our Georgia Alabama live sports live show. We'll talk college football. We'll probably have a special guest. I guess that's pretty close to me. I'll see if he's available then. Also, we got the Sports Vision radio show Monday and Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. We'll be talking all things college football, NFL, high school, and more. Great guests we'll have lined up with me and DJ tomorrow. Then, of course, on Thursday, we got the show, the game. Tuesday, our another show. Monday, the Glenwood Coaches Show, the Glenwood Football Show is what they call it, but it's Ryan Nelson, the head coach. He comes in there and talks along with the football players. So that's going to be all on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live networks. That includes YouTube and Facebook, also Twitter. So make sure to go and follow us there. And thank you again for all the love that y'all have shown us over these last few weeks. And we're going to continue to do this thing as we have. Again, we've only been doing this for 3 months now. So it's not like we have been doing this for a year and our page got deleted yet. We hate the content is out of there, but it's easy to make a new one and we'll just keep doing what we do. Richard, and thank y'all so much for being a part of it. And then on Sunday, Coach Corey Black and Bryant Thomas, the CB Hoots Perfect Practice Fall League. 8 teams. We got schools from Auburn, Harris County, Spencer, Muskogee County schools, Hardaway, Pacelli, Brooks. I mean, all these schools, if they're not playing football, they're in this fall league. So you got some top-notch, talented basketball players in it. Shaw, another school. They had their week 1 today. We were not able to be there today, but we will be there for the next 5 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun and excited about being there, Richard.
I'm excited too, Thrift, and I'm really excited just to continue to spread the brand of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Is not only we doing live streaming for all events here in the Chattahoochee Valley, but we're doing weekly shows and we're trying to build the brand. But now having a Twitter page, and we've already got several followers. And you could also listen to an episode of this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I mean, there are ways to listen to our content. I mean, I know that it was really disappointing that night when our Facebook page got taken down. And, the first thing that came to mind is, all that content that we did, all that hard work. But the thing is that you and I just continue to grind. And we're going to continue putting out content, and we're going to save everything. So if that ever happens again, I mean, we will have the content on YouTube, but we'll have it on other platforms. And we will just continue grinding because we love talking about sports and we love serving this community.
That's right. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll be at the Columbus Fall League for week 2 next week. And it's going to be a jam-packed Georgia Alabama Sports Live week full of content as we always do. A couple of other games we'll throw in there. We got Stratford and Pacelli. That's a big one that's coming up this week. We'll be at Lee Scott, Glenwood, Kendrick, and Spencer. Northside takes on Sumter, LaGrange, and Stars Mills. Enterprise takes on 0-3 Smith Station. Carver Montgomery takes on Russell County. These are just a few of the games that happen. Harris County's taking on winless Hardaway. Harris County's trying to go to 4-1. Shaw taking on Columbus. It's a pretty big rivalry game. I think these are pretty two evenly matched teams. That's a toss-up for me seeing that. We'll pick all these and talk a little bit more in detail about them on Tuesday. But out of all that schedule, Richard, Southwest takes on Jordan, Opelika and Central, another big one. And then Lanier, Christian, and Calvary. What are some of your key games you're looking forward to this upcoming week?
Well, I'm looking forward to the games that we are calling. I'm also looking forward to some of the games that Troup County and LaGrange going into their region play with Stars Mill and Whitewater. And then also Joe Howard, the voice of the Flint River Wildcats, wanted to mention that Flint River Academy is taking on McNair, which is a 2A school out of Atlanta. They are in Callaway's region. So a big shout out to Joe Howard, the voice
Yeah,
of the
Joe,
Flint River Wildcats.
I said this at the beginning, Joe. Thanks for the love and support. We appreciate you helping us out there at Flint River, and we definitely plan on being back. And again, please, guys, if you're watching right now, go to our Facebook page and just invite your friends to like it. We need our help. Facebook has bamboozled us, so please show us some love and help us build this page back up. Richard, any other final thoughts? I know Dallas is just laying the wood in the Giants right now, 26-0. We'll talk college football, NFL, on Tuesday's show. Today was more about recapping all the big time games. Shaw and Columbus is a good one, as I said, this upcoming week. Um, Enterprise taking on LaGrange. Northside on the road. Brookstone on the road. Brookstone taking on Mount Zion. Mount Zion's undefeated. And they take on Brookstone, who is 0-2. They're trying not to go 0-3 under Coach Rance Gillespie. That's going to be a big one as well. But, Richard, any more final thoughts before we get out of here? And, again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in to episode 6 of the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live show.
Some of the other games I wanted to mention, Barber County taking on Lafayette. Did you know, Thrift, Barber County won their first game for the first time in 10 years?
Wow.
So I'm excited about that. I'm going to try to make sure to give them love on my podcast. And Beulah's 2-1. I mean, so there's some surprises in high school football that, who knows? I mean, we're all about flex scheduling, Thrift. If there's a team that just comes out of nowhere, we might have to show them love to maybe try to get a game in. If not this year, definitely next year.
Exactly right. So thank y'all so much, everybody tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Remember tomorrow, the Glenwood Coaches Show, Sports Vision's radio show, 4 to 6 p.m. The Glenwood Coaches Show, 7 p.m. You can find it on Sports Vision's Facebook page and Georgia Alabama Sports Live Facebook page and YouTube channel. Then after that, Richard, we got Tuesday show. We got Thursday game, Spencer Kendrick. Friday, Glenwood Lee Scott. High school game day as well at 6. Spencer Kendrick at 7 on Thursday, 6:30, game day on Friday, 8 p.m. kickoff for Glenwood Lee Scott. Then on Sunday, we're doing some basketball already. So we got basketball and football. We got you covered locally here in the Tri-City area. Thank y'all so much, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your night. Please share, like, and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube channels. Also on Twitter.